Hello and welcome back to the Payroll Podcast. This is a special spring budget special. I'm joined today by Simon Parsons, Director of UK Compliance Strategies at SD Worx. Simon, for those not familiar, is a specialist in UK tax, payroll legislation, social insurance legislation, and all things payroll software related. Let's dive in. What were the major announcements made by the Chancellor yesterday as part of his plan?
Let's start with national insurance contributions. So the indication from the discussion yesterday, or his speech, was that he was going to uplift the primary threshold by £300 originally, but then he confirmed that he's going to uplift it by £3,000. The reality is he's not. He's uplifting it by £3,000 minus 3 months worth. So if we take £900 off that, he's actually uplifting it by £2,100 for the 22-23 tax year, and then it's the full £3,000 thereafter. So what is in effect is aligning from July the 6th the tax-free element value to be associated with national insurance contribution start point. So £12,570 per annum. As I say, it's not really £12,570 for this tax year. It's actually £11,908, which is the value you'll have seen set for directors as well, because directors are on an annual method. So interesting. How will that be applied? Well, software will need to be updated and readied and tested and delivered. And if you're operating your own, so you do your own parameters, there is going to be a 2-stage application of national insurance this year. For the first 3 months on the original announced values from November last year, and from July the 6th onwards, under the new primary thresholds that have been announced. What decides which you use? Point of payment decides it. So if you pay it on the 5th, use old. If you pay it on the 6th, use new of July, that is onwards. Doesn't matter when it's earned, doesn't matter what it's covering, it's when it's paid that decides the decisions of which thresholds to use. And with a director, there is a new annual. So for the first 3 months, you'll be doing it on the old annual of £9,880. From July onwards, you then recalculate it using the £11,908. Maybe we've done national insurance to death. Software will need to change to be able to accommodate this. The industry would probably have liked it to apply from April, but that's not what the Chancellor's done. We could say, why didn't we just do it from April, and if it was a bit late, sweep it up? I think the real challenge is it's got to get parliamentary approval yet, so it's not even law. So that's got to go through, hence why it's later than April. That's the real reason.
Okay. So many people won't be aware of that. So what are the main questions you're seeing, on social, in the payroll groups that we're both part of? We're seeing a few payroll managers come in with some questions on this. What are the main points of contention or points of clarification?
Well, again, I think a lot of people are saying, why don't we just do it from April?
Yeah.
Of course, April will have already happened for many, because we're now towards the back end of March, and payroll process is quite in advance. So some April payments have gone. They're all set. But generally, I'd agree with the view, but we know it's because it's got to go through parliamentary timetable to become law is one of the reasons, and they're not backdating it. In the past, we may have had May, but lots of people will be asking about, they worked here, it's paid there, what do we do? But again, it's the principle. When you pay it is what judges the calculation rule. Okay. It's not about when it's earned.
So that's the main headline news in relation to national insurance. There were other changes as well in relation to the employment allowance, which I believe has been increased.
Yes. Yeah, so same qualification for employment allowance, except a lot of employers with the increased employer national insurance liabilities or secondary NI liabilities will find themselves increasingly being taken out of qualifying for employment allowance. And this was a bit of an unknown prediction, but a thing that came along is that the employment allowance is increasing from the current £4,000 per annum to £5,000 per annum from the 6th of April. As it's an annual amount again, I think that will catch up. So some software will have to be updated. Some will obviously have that in place for April. Others you may find that they're not in place till May or June, maybe even July if they're aligning it with the national insurance change. But it applies to the whole tax year anyway, so I don't think that really matters. But I guess this is a means of taking out, was it 495,000 businesses will get this extra £1,000 in the UK, and take a number of them out of the additional 1.25% health and social care levy addition for their employee groups because they're small.
The basic rate of income tax is going to be reduced from 20% to 19%. It's not immediate. I believe that's in 2024. Was that something you were expecting?
That's right. No, and it's a few years away, isn't it? Years since we last had a cut in income tax rates, or it will be. So they're announcing, but it's nicely timed, isn't it? So maybe it gives an indication of when there's going to be a next general election.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So we're all going to get a tax cut.
And real hot topic at the moment, particularly for those that look, struggling with the new fuel prices, which seem to be constantly escalating. People moving to electric vehicles, and obviously only electric vehicles being sold, I think, from 2030 onwards by new establishments. But there is an immediate reduction on duty on diesel and petrol. Tell us more about that change.
You think there's a two-edged sword here, isn't there? Because fuel also has a VAT line. Price is going up, the VAT will go up, but the car fuel duty is being dropped by 4 pence from 6 p.m. last night. Some of the supermarkets have indicated that they would drop it more. So I think Asda and Sainsbury's indicated that they'd cut off more than 6p a litre, or 5p a litre, sorry. Let's get the value right. I think they're probably doing 6p a litre cuts. Yeah. So there's an element of, I don't know if that will cause a rush and we'll all be going out and filling our vehicles like when we were told that a certain delivery company couldn't deliver to a certain retailer. And we all thought, oh my goodness.
Were there any announcements that weren't made or that you were expecting at this stage? Were there any surprises for you in the spring budget?
Yeah, not really in relation to employment law or employment matters and payroll. There were some that were heavily hinting that they wanted certain activity, but I think, in fairness to Rishi and the Prime Minister, they kind of said they were going ahead with health and social care levy. So I think lots of them kind of said, we didn't want, maybe they get rid of them. And there was lots of speculation that they'd be removed, but they haven't been. The other aspect, I guess, that some employers are waking up to today is that the increase to primary threshold has got nothing to do with the employer contribution. So some have been looking out to see, well, of course, this will match with the secondary threshold being increased. It hasn't been.
Okay.
It's staying the same.
Interesting. Well, of course, listen, Simon, thank you ever so much for joining me today on this very short and quick budget special. Of course, the full details and all the measures, some of which are subject, of course, as Simon mentioned, to parliamentary approval, can be found at the link in the show notes, which links you to the spring statement. And please do take a look at Simon's site, payadvice.uk, which is an excellent site for anyone that wants to stay up to date on all matters related to payroll. It's a brilliant site and somewhere that I go regularly. And I'll put a link into Simon's LinkedIn profile as well if you want to find out more. Thanks for joining me at short notice.
That's all right. Thank you.
Pleasure.
I look forward to bringing,
ditto. I look forward to bringing the next episode of the Payroll Podcast to everybody real soon. Please join us as well at Payroll Question Time, 8th of April. Thanks, everybody.